What's up, tribe? This is going to be a different kind of video, and it's not for clickbait, and it may piss people off, and I'm just getting a whole lot of followers. Thank you to my new followers, and this might piss some people off and say, fuck you, I don't want to follow you no more. With that being said, the death of the battery runner, though. The death of the rapper last night, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. XXXTentacion. Extension. That's it. Extension. That's it. I'm sad to see another black man dead. So let me start with that. I'm sad to see that another parent has to grieve for their child. I'm sad to see that the gun violence in this country has yet again taken another person that potentially could have done some great things with their life. With all that being said, as an educator, as someone who has spent the better part of their adult career with children, mainly children in the city. I worked at the jail for 3 years. I worked at the detention center where kids go once they're arrested because they still have to go to school. I've seen it from a lot of different angles. I'm sick of seeing these children being rewarded for bad behavior, and then we're surprised that they deal and they end up with these violent deaths. This young man, rap sheet is probably as long as my resume. He was in juvenile detention. He's been arrested for gun charges, assault and battery, aggravated assault, false imprisonment. Like, the list goes on and on and on. His whole rap career was riddled with beefs with other rappers and assaults and just craziness. They said that he dealt with depression. We as a society have to stop rewarding bad behavior, and I myself am guilty. Y'all know I always point the finger at myself first. I myself am guilty, but we are all guilty. We've got to stop using social media as an excuse. It's a reason. Certainly it is. It is definitely a reason. It is definitely a factor in where we are in our world. However, I grew up at a time where gangster rap. I remember hiding. I went to Catholic school, right? I remember hiding. Me and some friends, a friend of mine, one of the kids at school had snuck one of his big brother's tapes to school, and we were listening like this. We were all huddled over his book bag, and it was real, real low, and we were trying to listen to, and that was the first time I had ever heard Freaky Tales by, y'all know who I'm talking about. That's one of my favorite rappers, and his name escapes me right now. First time I heard Freaky Tales. And to this day, it's still one of my favorite songs. But do you think that I would have ever let my parents know that I was listening to a song called Freaky Tales? I remember the first time I heard 2 Live Crew. I remember that my mama went to the school PTA because she overheard Go See the Doctor by Kool Moe Dee. And she was so offended by it. And she wanted all the parents at the school to know what their children were listening to. This was my mama. I was so embarrassed. I was so upset that my mother was the one leading this charge, right? I remember falling in love with gangster rap. I remember falling in love with Ice Cube. I'm still in love with Ice Cube. Call a sister. But, no disrespect, Kim. But I also knew there was a line because my parents had instilled that line. I knew that wasn't acceptable to listen to on the radio in front of my parents. I knew I better put my headphones on if I was listening to anything along those lines. I knew because I was raised that way. We're not raising our kids. We're letting social media raise our kids. We're letting the internet raise our kids. We're letting the music raise our kids. There's a difference. You can listen to music and know that that's not okay. I listen to Fuck the Police all the time. Do you think that meant that I rolled up on the police in my neighborhood and was like, fuck the police? No! I listen to, hey, we want some. I listen to that all the time. I love me some Luke, Trina, Trick Daddy, all of that. I wish I would have ever recited those lyrics in front of my parents. I remember my father confiscating the tape from me. I had a live tape. It was like a bootleg live version of Run DMC Beastie Boys tour. And he happened to overhear the Beastie Boys part where they were cussing. And, back then the Beastie Boys was wild. And, that's when they used to piss on people and all that other crazy shit at their concerts, get drunk and stuff. And my father overheard something. I don't even remember what it was now. He took the damn tape from me. I was so mad. I was so mad. He took the tape from me. Parents, I say this to you, any parents that are followers of mine, and if I'm stepping on toes, good. Because you know why? Because I've seen these kids in these juvenile detention centers. I've seen what we do to these children when we tell them that bad behavior is okay. When parents come up to the school and they're more concerned about defending their child than listening to what their child did. I say this to all the parents. When I first started teaching, teachers and parents were an alliance. We worked together for the greater good of your child. You trusted that the teacher was not about trying to punish or hurt your child. Somewhere along the lines, that has broken down. And I mean this with all the sincerity in my heart. If you're one of those people, if you're a follower of mine, and you're one of those people that doesn't trust teachers and feel like the school is out to get your child, please put it in the comments and explain it to me, because I don't get it. I don't get it. Do I have students that I don't like? Sure, I have students that irritate my nerves. But at the end of the day, they are children and I'm the adult, and I would never, ever purposely cause harm to anybody's child. I would never consciously or purposely do anything to hurt a child, to say anything to hurt a child. Now, I know I can't speak for all teachers of the world. They are bad teachers, just like they're bad doctors, they're bad cops, they're bad lawyers. Like, I can't speak for every teacher in the world, but what I will say is, in my 20 years of education experience, what I can say is I've met more good than bad. And a lot of these teachers are out here just trying to do the best they can and trying to be a positive influence and role model in your child's life. And y'all fight us. You come up to the school ready to cuss us out. You come up to the school thinking that there's some ulterior motives, that somebody is picking on your child. And your child walking around the school cussing people out. One of my biggest pet peeves are parents who call their kids on the phone during school. Why are you calling your child when they're supposed to be in school? And then the phone rings and the kid says, Miss Proctor, can I answer that? That's my parent. That's my mother. What I'm supposed to say? No, you can't talk to your mother? But what I want to say is, why is your mother calling you? She knows you're in school. Do you understand the position you put the adult in the room in when you take away my authority? If I have a no cell phone policy in my classroom, you have taken away my authority. There's nothing you have to say to your child. Because guess what? We did this before cell phones. Call the school, leave a message. The school will tell your child what's going on. If you're picking them up early, if they got to pick their sister up after school, if something, and I mean, there are some real emergencies, I get it. But 99.9% of those phone calls are not. I had a parent call the child one time in the middle of school to let the child know that their hair was here. You heard what I said. Their hair was here. The girl had ordered some hair. The hair had been delivered. The mother called the child in the middle of my class to tell her, your hair is here. I feel for the death of that child, but this is a child who lived his life in violence. And at some point, the adults in his life failed him. They did. They did. Kids aren't born that way. Beating up people and all these they're not born that way. And somewhere, and it wasn't just one adult. It wasn't one person that failed this young man. Like I said, Google him. His rap sheet, I don't mean rap songs, I mean his criminal record is longer than his discography. And was he even 20? We got to do better, y'all. We got to do better. I'm ranting and I'm raving, and I got 500 other things to do right now because I'm trying to get ready for the end of the year and pack up my classroom. And I got a training tomorrow because I've gotten some great things happening in my professional life. I got some training to do. Like, I got some great things going on, but at the end of the day, my first priority is going to always be my kids. Because contrary to popular belief, every one of those kids that come through my door takes a piece with me every time they leave. I'm going to a wedding in a couple of months for one of my former students. I've been to weddings. I've been to funerals. And let me tell you something. As a teacher, one of the hardest things you ever have to do is go to a funeral for a child. And I've been to more than I care to share. I had one that was natural cause. It was sickle cell, and she was the sweetest child. That was a sweet little girl. But the rest of them have been through violent means, through murder. And you know how hard it is to comfort 14 and 15-year-olds whose friend has been murdered. I'm not going to use no fancy name, gun violence. No, murder. Had a kid that was shot sitting on his porch, mistaken identity. Sitting on his porch eating a sandwich. Drive-by. They thought he was somebody else. Shot him up. I had a student killed over a dice game. Had a student hit by a car. Speeding, running from the police. The car was speeding, running from the police, hit the boy crossing the street in front of his brother. Had a student stabbed in a fight. I had another student shot and killed. I still had papers I hadn't graded with his name on it. Do you know how that feels? You got papers you're grading for a child that is no longer with us? We got to do better, people. Parents, you got to do better. You got to step your game up. People say step your pussy up. Step your game up. If you don't want them, find somewhere for them to go with somebody that's going to love them. If you don't want them, don't have them. Children are not revenge. Children are not a paycheck. Children are a big responsibility, and it's a long responsibility. It's a huge responsibility. I'm a grown-ass woman, and I still call my parents when I need them. Mommy, daddy. I'm ranting now, but I was listening, and this is, again, I was listening to Funky Dineva. Go to Funky Dineva and listen. Y'all know, I was mad at him a couple of weeks ago, but what he said today is on point. It's on point. This message has been on my heart since I found out about that young man dying last night, but I didn't want to be insensitive. But then when I woke up this morning, it was still on my heart. And then when I heard what Funky Dineva was saying, and I was like, you know what? I 120% agree with what you're saying right now. Like, I am so there with you right now. And we need to do it. So y'all need to go listen to what Funky Dineva has to say, because everything he's saying is ditto. But I'm coming at it from a point of view as an educator, as somebody who deals with what you don't do. I deal with the aftermath of what you don't deal with. I deal with the disrespect. I deal with the kids walking around here cussing us out like it's okay. And the parents who defend it. I deal with the parents telling their kids, you don't have to listen to what those teachers tell you to do. You don't have to do what the teachers tell you to do. And they'll tell you they said it. So then don't send them to school, homeschool you. Oh, if you don't think your children should have to listen to any type of authority, then you keep them with you all damn day. Homeschool your kids. And if I'm stepping on some toes, good. If you don't want your children to have to deal with responsibility and deal with authority, then don't fucking send them to school. Homeschool them. Because you're doing them a disservice by telling them who they have to and don't have to listen to. Because the world is all about listening and following rules and following directives. That's what the world is all about. Hell, I'm doing stuff now because my boss told me to do it. I don't always like what he tell me to do, but guess what I do? Do it. And if not, I find another job. Stop telling your kids they don't have to listen to nobody. Stop telling your kids that violence is the answer. Stop showing them that violence is the answer. Yes, y'all know I kiki and laugh at the reality TV shit. I love it. I do. But I know it's a show. I know what it's about. Y'all don't. And y'all are teaching y'all kids that is the reality, that fighting is the answer. They videotaping and uploading it, and they think it's cute and they think it's funny. And then the parents had a nerve to want to fight and have a problem when the kids get disciplined for it. Then you want to go to the school board because your child getting suspended. Your child was fucking fighting. Assaulting another person. And like I used to tell I still do, I tell my students. Sorry, y'all, I got a phone call, but I'm going to finish this up. In school, you are punished within the rights of the school, within the authority of the school. You go across the street fighting and you on county property, guess what? They're going to arrest your ass and put you in jail for assault. And I've seen kids go to juvenile detention and all these other things. When I worked in the juvenile detention center, I've seen kids be sent away from their parents for 2 and 3 years for assault, for robbery, for battery, for armed robbery, for drugs. I shouldn't even, I'm done. Because I could do this for another 30 minutes and I got shit to do. But parents, do better. Do better. That child's life was a tragedy and it was a shame. But the people in his life failed him. The adults in his life failed him. Do better.